नमस्कारम दोस्तों, माय नेम इज़ अमन कुमार और आप लोग का स्वागत है हमारे इस छोटे से चैनल में एक बार और, जहाँ पर हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, रीड कर रहे हैं बुक द पतंजलि योग सूत्र। और ये हमारा आज का डे 4 है और पार्ट 5, जहाँ तक हमने बात कर लिया था पतंजलि योग सूत्र 7 तक रीड कर लिया है। और पार्ट 5 हमारा आ रहा है पतंजलि योग सूत्र 8 पर, और तारीख 14 तारीख 7वां महीना 2023। समय हो रहा है 1:16। मौसम बरसाती मौसम, बट अभी आसमान साफ़ है और साथ ही साथ थोड़ा उमस भरा मौसम है। तो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं। पतंजलि योग सूत्र 8। विपर्यो मिथ्याज्ञानम अतद्रूपा प्रतिष्ठम। Viparyo means misconception, mithya means false, mistaken, jnanam means knowledge, atad means not or that, rupa means form, pratishtham means based. Misconceptions occurs when knowledge of something is not based upon it true from. In the twilight you see a coiled rope and mistake it for a snake. You get frightened. There is no snake. There in reality there is a false understanding, but still it created a terror in your mind. It is not only valid knowledge that creates thought waves, but erroneous imprisons also. सूत्र 9। शब्द ज्ञानानुपाति वस्तु शून्य विकल्प। शब्द ज्ञानानुपाति वस्तु शून्य विकल्प। शब्द means word, sound. Jnana means knowledge. Here based on words. Anupati means arises. Vastu means reality, real object. Sunya या शून्य without any. Vikalpa means verbal delusion. An imagine that arises on hearing mere words without any reality is verbal delusion. You hearing something, but really there is nothing like that. In Viparya, misconception. At least there is a rope to be mistaken for a snake, but in Vikalpa, verbal delusion, there is nothing there. Yet you still create some opinion about it. Suppose I say John took his car to the garage, and on the way all the tires got punctured, so he had to remove the wheels and given them to the mechanic to be repaired. He drove home very fast and got into an accident. You say, "Oh, was it a terrible accident?" You are only hearing my words. You have not taken the time to think. If you thought about it, you would say, if he gave all 4 wheels to be repaired, he could not drive it back. It did not happen, but you take it seriously. Another example would be, his mother was a barren woman. It is verbal delusion, but it may still create an impression in your mind. Sutra 10. अभाव प्रत्यय यालंबना यालंबना वृत्तिर निद्रा. Abhav means nothingness, pratyaya means conjunctions, alambana means support, vritti means modification of the mind, nidra means sleep. The mental modification supported by cognition of nothingness is sleep. This is the fourth type. Normally we say we do not have any thought in the mind during sleep, but actually we have the thought of having no thoughts. That is why when we wake up we say, I slept very well. I knew nothing. You will know nothing, but you know that you knew nothing. Do not think there is no thought in sleep. If there were no thought and you were completely unconscious, you would not even feel that you had slept. All other thoughts are temporarily suspended. Expect this one thought of the emptiness in the mind, which leaves its impression upon wake up. Sutra 11. अनुभूता विषया संप्रमोषः समर्ति स्मृति स्मृति. Anubhuta means experienced, Vishya means objects, Asampramosha means not forgotten, Smriti means memory. When a mental modification of an object previously experienced and not forgotten come back to consciousness, that is memory. Memories create impression in the mind and at a later time come to the surface either when we want them or sometimes even when we do not want them. Memories come in two ways, dream and dream are memories that come to the surface when we sleep. Daydreams are memories that arise during the day. Both are impressions which, when formed, slowly descend to the bottom of the mind and come to the surface when they are rekindled for some reasons. So, these are the 5 kinds of vrittis or thoughts forms that must be controlled to make the mind void and allow to the inner peace to shine through. Knowing this, our next question is how can we control these vrittis? It is easy to say control the mind, but in reality the mind seems to be controlling us. Sutra 12. Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tanirrodha. Abhyasa means practice. Vairagya means non-attachment. Vairagyam means by both. Tada means they. Nirodha means restraint. These mental modifications are restrained by practice and non-attachment. On the positive side, you practice. On the other side, you detach yourself from the causes for these modifications. Patanjali gives both a positive and negative approach to thought control, which he proceeds to elucidate in the following sutras. Sutra 13. Tatra Sithaitau Yatonobhyasa. Yatonobhyasa. Tatra means of this. Sithaitav means in steadiness. Yatana. Yatana means effort. Yatan. Abhyasa means practice. Of these two, effort toward steadiness of mind is practice. Here, Patanjali means continuous practice, not just for 1 or 2 days. You have to always be at it, not just for a minute, few minutes a day, and then allowing to the mind to have it on free time all the other hours. It means you become internally watchful, scrutinizing every thought, every word, and every action. How? Patanjali gives three qualifications. Sutra 14 Sa tu dirgha kala नैरंतार्य नैरंतार्य सत्कार सेवितो दृढ़ भूमि दर्द भूमि दृढ़ भूमि दृढ़ भूमि. Sa means these, tu means and, dirgha means long, kal means time, nairantyara means without break, continuous, satkar means earnestness, asavito means well attend to, dradh means firm, bhumi means ground. Practice becomes firmly grounded when well attended to for a long time without break and in all earnestness. The first qualification for the practice is that it should be done for a long time. Unfortunately, we just want the result immediately. If I ask you to repeat a mantra and tell you that you will become more peaceful and realize beautiful things within, you will go back home, repeat it for 3 days, and then call me. I have repeated it for 3 days, but nothing happened. Maybe this is not a suitable mantra for me. Can you give me a different one? See. So Patanjali says for a long time. He does not say how long, and then it should be without break. I often hear, oh, I have been practicing yoga for the past 10 years, but I am still the same. How often? Oh, off and on. So it must be continuous practice also. And the last qualification in all earnestness, that means with full attention, with the entire application of your mind, and with full faith in your achievement. Even when you want something or somebody on the worldly level, you will be after it day and night. You do not sleep, you do not even eat, you are always at it. If this quality is necessary to achieve even worldly success, how much more so for success in yoga? So let us not be like little children who saw a seed today and dig it up tomorrow to see how much to root went down. We need all these three qualities: patience, devotion, and faith. This reminds me of a small story given in the Hindu scriptures. In the Devloka, or the heavenly plan where the divine beings live, there is a great Maharshi sage called Narada. Just as there are great yogis here, so There are also among the gods. So Narada travels all over and sometimes come to earth to see how we are doing. One day he was passing through a forest and saw a yoga student who had been meditating for so long that the ant had built an ant hill around his body. The yogi looked at Narada and said, Narada, sir, where are you going? To heaven, to Lord Shiva's place. Oh, could you please do something for me there? Sure, what can I do? Could you find out from the Lord for how many more births I must meditate? I have been sitting here for quite a long time, so please find out. Sure. The Narada walked a few miles further and saw another man, but this one was jumping and dancing and singing with all joy, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. When he saw Narada, he said, Hi, Narada, where are you going? To heaven? Oh, that is great. Could you please find out for how long I have to be here like this? When I will when we will I get finally liberation? Sure, I will. So after many years, Narada happened by the same route again and saw the first man. The yogic recognized Narada. Narad, I haven't had any answer from you. Did you go to heaven? What did the Lord say? I asked, but the Lord said, You have to take another 4 births. Another 4 births? Haven't have not I waited long enough? He started shouting and laminating. Narada walked further and saw the second man still singing and dancing. Hi Narada, what happened? Did you get some news for me? Narada says, Yes. Well, tell me, do you see that tree there? Sure. Can you count the leaves on it? Second man says, Sure, I have the patience to do it. Do you want me to count them right away? No, you can take your time to count. But what has that got to do with my question? Narada says, Well, Lord Shiva says, you will have to take as many births as the number of leaves of that trees. Second man says, Oh, is that all? So at least it is limited number then. Now I know where it ends. That's fine. I can quickly finish it off. Thank God that he did not say the leaves of the entire forest. Just then a beautiful palanquin come down from heaven, and the driver said to the second man, Come on, would you mind getting in? Lord Shiva has sent for you. I am going to heaven now. Yes, but just now. Narad said, I have to take so many more births first. Yes, but it seems that you were ready and willing to do that. So why should you wait? Come on. And what about the other man? He is not even ready to wait for more 4 births. Let him wait and work more. This is not a mere story. You can easily see the truth behind it. If you are that patient, your mind is more settled and what you do will be more perfect. If you are unsettled and anxious to get the result, you are already disturbed. Nothing done with that disturbed mind will have qualities. So it is not only how long you practice, but with what patience, what earnestness, and what quality also. परिवारवाद सबसे डेंजरस नहीं, सबसे खास। योग सूत्र 15 दृष्टानु सर्विका सर्विका विषय वितरस्नस्य वसीकार संज्ञान वैराग्यम। Drashta means seen, experienced. Anusravika means heard, heard, revealed. Vishya means object. Vitrasnasya means of him who is free from carving. Viskara means mastery. Samjna means consciousness, clear knowledge. Vairagya means non-attachment. The consciousness of self-mastery in one who is free from carving from objects seen or heard about is non-attachment. Normally, the mind gets attached by seeing or hearing something. It is mainly through the eyes and ears that the mind goes out and gathers things to satisfy its desire. Before the mind is attracted to something it sees or hears, you should have discrimination to see whether that object is good for you or not. The mind should not just go and grasp as it wants. Non-attachment should not be misunderstood to be indifference. Vairagya, non-attachment, literally means colorless. V is without, where raga is color. V is without, rag is color. Every desire brings its own color to mind. The moment you color the mind, a ripple is formed, just as when a stone is thrown into a calm lake, it creates waves in the water. When the mind is tossed by these desires one after the other, there would not be peace or rest in the mind, and with a restless mind you cannot have steady practice. When you want to do something constantly, your mind should not be distracted by other desires. That is why this sort of dissipation or non-attachment must always go with the practice. Any practice without this non-attachment can never be fulfilled. Many times people say, "Oh, I have been practicing meditation for so many years. I pray daily, morning and evening." Yes, they do that. We have to accept it because we see them sitting in meditation every day or going to the church or temple. Sometimes they sit in front of the altar for hours and hours. There are people who read the whole Bible every day. There are people who repeat the Bhagavad Gita every day. They would not even eat until they do that. The moment that they get up, they go in front of the altar and repeat the entire Gita before even drinking a glass of water, but still they remain in the same state. The reason is that their mind are still dissipated because of the different desire. How many people stand in front of the altar and think of their businesses, or allow their eyes to wander about to see how many of their friends are there? Temples and churches have become social centers. They have lost their original purpose because the mind of the people are more attracted to worldly things than to prayers. The lips may repeat the prayer mechanically like a phonograph record, but the mind wanders to other place. That is why you cannot collect and compose the mind unless it is free from distracting desires. Meditation is possible only when the mind is free from attachment. In fact, you need not even practice meditation if your mind is completely free from all selfish desire. You will see that you are always at ease. You will never become restless and never disappointed. So we need to practice and the non-attachment, and of these two the non-attachment is the more important. Immediately somebody will ask, if you are unattached, would not you lose all incentive and become dull? No. When we say unattached, it means without personal desires. If you really want to be greedy in serving others. Try to remove the suffering of the people. Once you are unattached in your personal life, you can serve others, and by doing that you will find more and more joy. That is why sometimes I say that the selfless person is the most selfish one. Why? Because a selfless person does not want to lose his or her peace and happiness. Even with God, do not have personal desire or attachment. Many people approach God and say, God, give me this, give me that, help me win this campaign, or if you help me pass this examination, I will light 10 candles. We try to do business with God. It only shows our own ignorance. Those very candles were given to us by God. So what is the idea of giving them back to God? As if we have created something, our desires mind dulled us and we become ignorant. The discrimination of a desires person gets completely faded. His or her interest is to achieve things, that is all. The desires person does not bother to wait and think. The Vedantic scripture says even the desire for liberation is a bondage. Moksha bhesha moksha bhiksha bhiksho bandha. Even if you desire liberation, you are binding yourself. Even desire binds you and brings restlessness. To get the liberation, you have to be completely desireless. It is possible to be desireless. No, actually, it is not possible. As long as the mind is there, its duty is to desire. It seems to be contradictory, but the secret is that any desire without any personal or selfish motive will never bind you. Why? Because the pure selfless desire has no expectation. What whatever, so it no disappointment no matter what the result. But though it expect nothing, it has its own reward. When you make someone happy, you see his or her happy face and feel happy yourself. If you have really experienced the joy of just giving something for the sake of giving, you will wait greedily for opportunities to get that joy again and again. Many people think that be renouncing everything by becoming selfless and desireless. There is no enjoyment. No, that is not so. Instead, you become the happiest man or woman. The more you serve, the more happiness you enjoy. Such a person knows the secret of life. Secret of life. There is a joy in losing everything, in giving everything. You cannot be internally happy by possessing things. The more you possess, the more sad you become. Have not we seen millionaires, people of high position, prime ministers, presidents? Are they happy? No. The higher the position, the greater the trouble. Only a saint, a renunciate, is always happy because there is nothing for a saint to lose. Because you do not have anything, you have yourself always. That is the secret. That is why we say, have vairagya, have dispassions, dispatience, have non attachment by renouncing worldly things. You possess the most important scared property, your peace. There is another aspect or benefit of non attachment. It is mainly a person with a detached mind who can do a job perfectly. As an example, the other day I received a letter from disciple who runs on of my centers. Another yoga teacher visited this center and asked, "Do not your student ask for something more? In my class, if I do not teach something new each classes, they say, what is this? We paid you and got this yesterday. You are teaching us the same things today. Why should we pay more? Unless you give us something new, we would not pay you more." So I carefully arrange my lessons in such a way that every day I can add something new so that I can ask for more money. But here I see the some old stuff every day and people are coming more and more and nobody seems to be disappointed. Then my child said, "We do not sell yoga, we just teach you for our joy. The people contribute as they want. There is no business here, but rather the heart is working. Probably in your case, you expect money, and so you are interested in teaching something new every time to get more people and more money. It is a fact. The same thing is happening in our other Hatha classes also. For years now, people have been coming to the classes and each classes has been more or less the same. And every time they come, they contribute something without ever getting tired of it. They could practice the same thing at home, but still they come to the classes because they do not feel the vibration of business there, but the vibration of yoga. That is what they do not want to miss. Even in my lecture, I do not quote many scriptures or try to give something new every time. Probably if I were to play back tapes of my past talks, it would be the same ideas again and again. People might say the Swamis says nothing new, the same old Swami, the same old stuff. Why do they listen again and again? I feel happy and they all feel happy being there. So they make me happy and I make them happy. We just spend a little happy time together, that is all. We just talk about something or do something in the name of yoga. Yes, that is the secret. There is a joy in being together. That is all. So, that is the life of detachment. There is no expectation. We just come together. They do not feel that they are losing their money, and I do not feel that I am gaining their money. We are all as one family. We pool our money, our energy, and our ideas. What else do we want in this life? And that is yoga. So, when the mind is free from personal interests, we do our work well and feel joyful. Our lives our lives become meaningful if our mind are free from selflessness and there is sacrificing in everyone lives. The very world becomes a heaven, a abode, abode, an abode of peace and bliss. Everything in this life gives. Sacrifice is the law of life. That is why we admire and adore people who have given their lives for the sake of humanity. Why do we worship Jesus and the cross? Because sacrifice is the meaning of that cross. He sacrificed himself and we worship that quality. It is not the piece of wood we appreciate, but the sacrifice is it represent. He gave his very life for the sake of humanity. It is because of that sacrifice that all the prophets, sages, and saints are worshipped as divine being or as God. It is not only saints but everything in nature, trees, birds, animals, they all live for the sake of others. Why does a candle burn and melt away? To give light. Why does an incense stick burn to ash? To give fragrance. Why does a tree grow? To give fruit and flowers. Is there anything sentient, sentient or insentient in this world that lives for its own sake? No. When the entire nature sacrifice, why should we human being alone lead selfish lives? We are here to give and give and give. What is due to us will come without our worrying about it. Of course, even here we can wonder if I am to lead a sacrificial life. How can I eat? How can I clothe myself or have a house of my own? You can have all these things to equip yourself to serve others. You must have a bed to rest in, to feel refreshed in the morning in order to go out to serve others. You must eat to have enough energy to serve others. So you do everything with the idea that you are preparing yourself to serve others. Even the practice of meditation is not done just for your own peace but is done because with a peaceful mind you can go out into the world and serve well. With that very ideas you can meditate. So even yogic meditation become a selfless action. That is what is meant by even with God do not have attachment. This vairagya or non-attachment alone is enough to change your entire life into a joyful one. Patanjali Yoga Sutra 15 reading is complete. नेक्स्ट है 16वां सूत्र जिसको हम पढ़ेंगे नेक्स्ट टॉपिक में, और बाकी के लिए हमें सपोर्ट करते रहिए। थैंक यू और शुभ रात्रि, नमस्ते।